Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second round of I was about to say GM Norm Round Robin, but that is not the tournament that I am playing. It's an I am Norm Round Robin. My opponent for this round, though, is a Grandmaster. His name is David Berchas. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, so for any Hungarians who are my viewers, I'm very sorry. I've played David a handful of times, all online, and all I know about David is that he plays slowly. He will get into time trouble. The problem is that he's very good, so even with no time on the clock, he's going to play well. And before the game, I was expecting either knight f3, g3, or d4. And if d4, I was hoping we would go into the Catalan. I had some interesting stuff. I've been waiting to play against the Catalan for a while, but nobody plays the Catalan. David started with knight f3, and I played d5. And before the tournament, I had decided that if I get this ready, this knight f3, g3, bishop g2 stuff, I'm going to play this line. Like in the past, I've played knight d7 to play e5, and then this to prevent c4. I generally play sidelines because the ready is just extremely depressing. It's a great opening to play against me to just lull me to death. So I played knight c6. And the point is I want to play e5, just like with knight d7, but when he plays d4, I don't have to move my knight again, and I can play bishop f5. Now, what's really funny about this position is that I'm actually playing a Jobava London, but with black. When I played this, it occurred to me, because if you remember in my first round game, I played my d-pawn, then I played my queen's knight, and then I played like this. So I have the exact same position, but with black. I don't know, I just really love Jobava Londons. He played bishop g2, and then here I played knight b4. Now, obviously, I'm not disrespecting him. I know he's going to obviously see this threat. But the point is that I want him to put his knight on a3. This is the entire intention. And then, rather than play knight f6 right away, which allows him to get my bishop pair, there's this interesting idea here by black to delay with bishop e7. So I'm completely preventing this. And then it's kind of up to white to figure out what to do. So all of the plans for white involve basically ignoring my knight, treating it like the crazy person on the subway. Well, actually, I've always made that joke. But recently, the crazy person on the subway was a mass shooter. So that's, yeah, rough. Jeez. All right, I need a new piece of humor. All right, well, you're going to treat this like, wow. All right, let me think of something, all right? In the next recap, I'll have a joke. I used to make that joke all the time. Now I can't do it anymore. People, you're destroying my humor. All right, c3, knight c6, knight c2. Now, you'll notice he did address my knight. If you go back a little bit, right, bishop e7, by the way, I guess I should also say my humor is not the priority. In the case of the thing that I just mentioned, sometimes my brain, like I say words and then my brain kind of catches up while I'm mid-recap. It was a horrible, tragic event. All right, me losing the ability to make jokes about the New York City subway is not the priority, just so we're clear, okay? Back to the recap. So generally, white here will play c4, queen b3, knight e5, stuff like this. This is the most aggressive way. And then here, I was sitting there and I'm like, all right, I could continue to develop my pieces, or I could go for an attack, which I've done in Blitz before. And I know in these kinds of positions, I can actually play h5. Now, again, I know that David likes to think, so he's going to think, and think he did. He thought here for like 20 minutes. I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, is he going to play h4? Or is he going to attack me in the center of the board? The reason why the move knight e5 is good is because when this trade occurs, the d4 square frees up. So his knight will go there. Also, I cannot go to f6 anymore. So here I was calculating a lot of different lines. Obviously, I can ignore him and I can just play h4. I also was thinking to play bishop d6, which I thought was interesting. Trying to get him to take, and now I kind of have another line of attack, so maybe then h4. But yeah, I mean, I was looking at lines like knight e5, de5, h4, knight d4. I have to move my bishop out of the way. Maybe he continues to try to assault me over here. I try to, block. He plays queen b3. Stuff like this. All stuff I was calculating. I decided to just go with h4, inviting this capture and just saying, you know what? I don't really care too much about this damage structure. It's not like it's going to matter. If you try to get there, I'll play queen d7. Right? So I decided, all right, you know what? h4. Let's do it. The reason why I named the recap what I named it, by the way, is, I think one of the main criticisms that I receive when I play strong players is I play too solidly. And I'm pretty sure even Hikaru himself said that. When he says it, it's one thing. When, some of you guys say it, oh, you just gotta just do this. My rating is double digit, but this is what you gotta do. You know what I mean? So I decided that I was just not gonna show any respect. I was gonna channel, that Hikaru Grand Prix victory. All the buzz about my too solid play against against strong players, and I'm just gonna go for it. And here I was calculating wild lines. I mean, really, truly wild lines. So, for example, he played knight e3, and very, very, very interesting stuff can happen here. So, first of all, if I take, okay, I actually thought it was very interesting for him to take with the f-pawn and open up his rook. And what I was going to do here is play knight takes e5, okay? If he lets my bishop escape, my bishop is very nice on this square. His pawns are doubled and isolated, and then I will just go here pinning his knight, so he can't do that. So when I take, he will take this. Now I will take like this, and then he will play pawn takes pawn. And we have a very complicated position, right? So again, I know you guys sometimes get confused, so I'm telling you, this is what I was calculating, okay? Just so you understand what's going on in my mind, right? So you're not sitting there like, what is he doing? So I was looking at this. I also was looking at what if, what if he sacks a piece? What if he just doesn't take the knight back? I thought this was fascinating. So my idea here was to go knight g6. He would take on d5. I would attack his bishop. He might take another pawn, and I would have to do something like this. I calculated all of this, and I was like, I don't know what the heck is going on here. He has 7 pawns. I have 4, but I have an extra piece. So I calculated all this after in case he plays f takes g3. And then I also was like, what if after takes, no, I apologize. What if here he doesn't even take, he, sacrifices material and tries to play for queen b3. Like, he just sacks 2 pawns and he tries to attack me here. And then I was even thinking, okay, what about if he takes with the h pawn, right? And that's what he did in the game. And then here, there's again a bunch of head-spinning complications. First of all, I can just move my bishop out of the way. The reason I didn't do this was because I thought queen a4 was very strong. I didn't do this because I thought this was very good, and I thought I was just in some trouble here. For example, if I play bishop d6, hoping for this, he has the incredibly strong move c4. So I'm very glad that I calculated something that Stockfish was like, well, yeah, this is 100% correct. So I didn't do this, but Stockfish, after queen a4, just wants to play king f8, which is just, I mean, yeah, I didn't even... I kind of like, from the corners of my brain, was like, can I ever play king f8 and just try to pin this? I don't know. This looked kind of absurd to do. So that's not even the idea. The idea is queen e8. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I just thought this was going in the wrong direction. I mean, I was calculating bishop e4. I rejected bishop e4 because I thought that after knight c6, bc6, bishop e4, he has knight c4 ideas. Computer even thinks that king g2, and now he's attacking me on the h-file. I thought I was attacking him on the h-file. Computer seems to think this is also good for him, so I didn't do that. So then I was calculating knight e5. I mean, then I also looked at bishop h3. All these head-spinning lines. I thought this was bad because takes, king g2, and the same idea, right? I just thought this was bad. So I took on e5, okay? He took on f5. Here, I also contemplated not even taking and just moving my knight because he can't take with check because his knight is trapped. So I actually thought about going for this. But then I kind of thought, he's got 2 bishops. Like, what am I even playing for here? Like, he's just going to open the board up. I don't know. This position looks really fun for white. All right, so I didn't go for knight, c4. So I took the knight and I played like this. And I'm sitting there like, all right, this is a complicated position. I think his game plan should be queen c2, and then, rook d1, and then c4, and then, just attacking, right, with the queen, the rook, and the bishop. He chose to play c4 first. Okay, so he did it this way. He did the more aggressive of the 2 move orders, and I kind of didn't understand the difference. I just took, and then he went here, and I went here. And my idea was, okay, he's going to take on c4, and I'm going to trade queens. This was what I wanted when I played queen d7. I thought, okay, he's going to take, I'm going to go here, and I can't lose this. I'm just too solid. I mean, I'm going to get my knight into the game. You know, I'm going to bring my rook to the fine. Like, he doesn't have enough time to get a4, a5, a6, you know, and all this. Because I'll just stop it. He can't do anything. So I thought, queen d7, I'm in good shape. He's got about 3-4 minutes on the clock. I mean, like, you know, what are we doing here? And then he surprised me. He played the move e4. And I had a feeling this was like a low time, kind of desperate-ish decision. But it kind of surprised me. I was like, oh man, that's kind of unpleasant because, you know, the idea is obviously to get rid of the doubled pawns. Like right now he has doubled pawns. This move frees up some space. He's going to get his bishop, get his queen active, and, you know, now this trade is much worse because his bishop's getting in, his pawns are better, so it's not the same trade as it once was. I had an idea here. Again, we're both borderline load time, so I had an idea here to trade queens, sacrificing this pawn completely, and basically just building around my d-pawn. Like just giving him the pawn, giving him the bishop, and saying, I want to go d2. And so if he plays something like bishop f4, then I could play something like knight h6 attacking the pawn, and, you know, Stockfish finds a way to hang on. I also just thought it was, I'm sitting there like, why am I thinking to give him the pawn back? Like, why? Why am I feeling so generous? All right? I mean, it's Easter. It's Passover. But, what am I doing? I mean, all right. I mean, yeah, like, what are we doing here? I mean, why queen d3? So I'm like, what am I doing? Just take the pawn, idiot. So I just took. I'm calculating all this stuff. But queen d3 was a move. The computer thought, it was a move. The game could go either way. And again, my logic was whatever he takes back with, well, he can't do this because then he loses. That would be really nice. So I thought he was just going to take like this, and then I would play queen d3. So this was my idea. But he took this pawn. And so originally when we got here, I thought that he couldn't even do this. So I thought he couldn't even take because I can hang on to my pawn with f5. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is he doing? Because if he takes en passant, I just take with a knight. He's helped me bring a defender, and then I'm going to trade queens, and this is a winning position for black. I mean, okay, it's not completely winning, but right? I mean, he's not winning his pawns back. So the original plan was actually to spend like a minute or two here, and I can still bring my knight into the game. So if queen e4, I can play like knight f5, and then I can castle even long, for example, and I'm fine. But when I saw that f5 was possible, I'm like, f5 is a type of move that I don't play in a game, then talk about in a recap, and then you guys are like, well, you should trust yourself. So I'm like, I'm going to trust myself. No, you can't have my pawn. And then he played this move, and I immediately realized that I had made a bit of a mistake. Because my intention originally was to play queen d5, but now this sees my pawn, right? So I thought, he's going to go like bishop f4. It didn't even occur to me about this move, like what the difference was. The difference is that in the long run, if I try to defend my center, my a pawn falls. And so for a bit here, I was even looking at queen d3, and I thought this was just a repetition. It's not. He has check. I just totally blanked that there's this. I didn't lose the game like this, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of things started happening at once, and suddenly my confidence was sort of gone. My mojo was gone after the move bishop e3, and I realized that a long struggle, defensive struggle, was ahead. And I have to play queen d5, because if I don't, I mean, look at my development. Like, what am I going to play? If I play knight h6, he brings his f rook, his a rook. I mean, he could even play e6. I'm in trouble. f3, crack open the center, right? So I go for a queen trade, and he plays rook d1. Now, at this point, I have a few options. They're all very unpleasant. Why? He's threatening the only pawn advantage I have. He's also threatening this pawn if I ever move my rook. Also, this move frees up his bishop, so his bishop is also coming. So I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm so stupid for playing the move f5. f5 opened up everything for him, right? Without this move, if I had just played knight h6 and been solid, now I'm kicking myself. I'm like, why the hell did I play f5, you idiot? Right? Like, it's one of those things. f5 is one of those moves. My options here are defend the pawn like this and sack this pawn. Let him take this somehow and then consolidate. Those are my only two options. So I thought even about king d7. The problem with this is that it's just, your king cannot be the primary defender of your position. All right, it's like Patrick Beverley on Luka Doncic. It just doesn't work. So the alternative, and this is what the engine likes, is getting the knight into the game. I rejected this because I thought it was too slow. It's not too slow. Yeah, I mean, you know, I thought that here he could, I don't know. Again, chess is about decisions. I looked at knight h6 briefly, but kind of went, yeah, I mean, I don't know, he's just going to take, or maybe he's not even going to take. Maybe he'll play rook here and rook c7. I just can't really understand what I'm doing here. Well, what I'm doing here is Stockfish now moves the king, now gets taken with check, and the difference is that the knight can now develop. You'll notice that in the other variation, the knight is not there yet. But in this variation, the knight is already on g4, literally teleported, right? So I didn't really realize, so I played rook d8, which is the second best move, with the intention to sack this pawn and then bring my rook. That was my idea. So his bishop is going to take its eye off h6 and get my a7 pawn. But then here he shocked me and he didn't take my pawn. He played bishop f1. So he didn't take the eye off the h6 square. This move really shocked me. And I had a feeling it was a bad move, and it was. It was not a good move. But I did not find the best response. I had a feeling. I was like, I'm pretty sure he was supposed to take my pawn. Like, his position was set up so that I couldn't make the move that I made. What I didn't understand here was what the difference was between these two moves. For example, b6, I thought he gives me check, I move, then he plays like rook c1. Actually, I can't even move here because I thought rook d5 and then he pins me. And if this, then this. So the computer here is completely unafraid and claiming this is equality. So I had ways to equalize. You know, even rook c1, which looks terrifying, I can just give him the pawn back. So takes, threatening this. And apparently, as terrifying as this looks, even rook a8, as completely stupid as this is, holds the position. So there were ways to hold, and I couldn't really tell the difference between b6 and a6. I was like, okay, he can't get in with his bishop now. Okay, so what if he goes here? I'll just move my rook or move my rook. Like, I'm not scared, right? So he plays rook c1. This whole time, I'm like, I'm defending. I mean, why did he play bishop f1? It was a bad move. So knight h6, bishop b6. And now I have a choice. Do I play rook d7 or do I move my rook here? Rook here looks depressing. Like, why would I do that? His rook is coming to c7. I mean, okay, yeah, now I have bishop d8, so he can't really rush it, but e6, rook d5, rook d7, then rook c7. So I just thought, why would I play rook b8 or rook a8? Like, what are these moves? Why would I play these moves, right? So I calculated rook d7, e6, rook d6, fork. Okay, then rook c8 check, bishop d8. If e7, I take bishop c5 and maybe king d7, unpinning myself and attacking his rook. Okay, so this is what I calculated. Here, pin, unpin, attack rook. Boom. Okay, fantastic. So we calculated that. Then I calculated rook c8, bishop d8, bishop c4. Pawn takes, rook d8. But bishop c4, king e7. And I'm threatening to take the bishop. I will sacrifice material, but it's actually not so bad because suddenly I'm swarming f2. So I thought, okay, great. Look at me, e6 rook, it doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm losing. In this position, from a distance, I saw that I was attacking both of these things, so he has to take me. It's what I thought. I completely missed the move, bishop c7, which is a nasty little move. And immediately, I'm lost. Immediately. I can't defend everything. So if I take the pawn, yeah, this is just the savage move. I just didn't see it from a distance. So I come out, he gets my pawn on d5, and I mean, we can sort of breeze through this. I actually fought back much better than I thought. I had a chance here to get into an endgame where I'm trying to win a rook for a rook, but he would sack with check. That's called a desperado because you're going to lose the rook anyway. And now, try to play this endgame. I just thought this was lost. I didn't do a great job defending either with low time. He just sort of played well, tortured me a little bit, and simplified into a winning endgame. And I resigned on move 47. Resigned because he has too many rooks, frankly. So what went wrong? So what went wrong was obviously I miscalculated. I mean, it was a sequence of moves dating all the way back here, basically, where I completely missed bishop c7. And, I played bishop d8, and I saw it instantly, and I was like, well. But probably going back to around here already, I thought I had messed up. So I actually thought I was fighting on a thorough back foot. Like, I thought I was just lost. And I was blaming myself for the move f5. When I analyzed the game with Stockfish after, the top engine move here is f5. It's actually kind of crazy. The pressure that I was sustaining in the game made me think I had messed everything up. But if I had not gotten too emotional, and you know what? Probably if I was not playing a GM, I wouldn't have lost this game. That's just the truth. If I was playing 2100, 2200, I would have stayed focused. I would have not been like, oh man, now I'm losing. Here we go again. Why did I get aggressive with f5? I would have just been like, let me find the best move. And the best move very well could have at some point been to just play knight h6. Giving up a pawn and trying to get my knight into the game. And I just neglected my development until the very last moment when it was already too late. And I blundered a tactic. So, I'm kind of happy with how I played the game. A little bit disappointed with the way it ended. Just miscalculation. But we've got 7 more games to go. Would have been really nice not to lose this one. I really had a lot of confidence that I wasn't going to lose. And then just at the end, the IM kicked in. That's honestly what happened. So, good learning experience. Honestly, I'm not, of all the games that I've lost in making my recap videos, this one, it hurts a little bit less. But it sucks. I mean, losing sucks. So, I'll see you all for round number 3 tomorrow morning in the recaps. Courses are on sale. You can click the link in the description. That's about it. I'm going to go have some pizza and go to sleep. Good night. See you all tomorrow. Get out of here.